Some controversial comments from President Obama were all but lost in last week's headlines on Ferguson. A week ago Sunday, the president sat down with ABC for some questions about his executive order on immigration. Specifically, why the president decided to act on his own after suggesting at least 24 times on camera, not suggesting, explicitly representing repeatedly to the American people that he did not have the authority to do that. Watch this.
Several times over the last couple of years you were asked, can you do more? And he said, no, I'm out of administrative flexibility. What changed?
Well, that's not true. If you look, George, I oftentimes was asked, can you just halt deportations? And I said, no, I can't do that.
No, but I have a right here on a Google Hangout. You were asked specifically, what can you do to prevent families from being broken apart? And you said, I'm not an emperor.
I'm not the emperor of the United States. My job is to execute laws that are passed. We've kind of stretched our administrative flexibility as much as we can.
George, what is absolutely true is that we couldn't solve the entire problem and still can't solve the entire problem.
That is a dodge. That is about as big a dodge as you can do in an interview. Was there a follow-up by the anchor? No, there was not. So not only did the president try to change the issue, but he outright denied that he ever said he didn't have the power. What? That's just not true. He's on camera 24 times saying it. Now, in Stephanopoulos' defense, he offered one time. He could have gone on and on and on, but we're all limited for time in our interviews. This, of course, is not the first time that the president has changed his tune on a major issue to the American people. Of course, there was last November when, pressed on his repeated representation that if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. As that became a national news story, and as the news story reached a new fury, he was finally forced to comment on that representation and why it was not true. And this is how he tried to handle it.
Now, if you have or had one of these plans before the Affordable Care Act came into law, and you really liked that plan, what we said was you could keep it if it hasn't changed since the law's passed.
That's not what he said. So he tried to dodge then by revising magically what he'd been representing to the American people for months, for years. And then the national media jumped in, a bigger fury was created, and he was forced to dial that back and admit that he had misstated the facts at a minimum. And here we go again. Judge Andrew Napolitano is our Fox News senior judicial analyst and author of the new book, Suicide Pact, the radical expansion of presidential powers and the lethal threat to American liberty. He's caught. He is caught.
You know, it's a sad state of affairs when this Harvard-educated University of Chicago Law School hired so-called constitutional scholar, which is what he held himself out to be when he first ran in 2008, doesn't understand the basics of the Constitution and the job and the role of the President of the United States. He does not have the authority to change and rewrite the law.
But that's okay. That's your legal opinion, and you're entitled to it. And a lot of people share that legal opinion. What I'm talking about is fact. Fact. He has misstated the facts to the American. But forget George Stephanopoulos.
Yes.
To the American people by saying he's told him. No, he actually denied that he had said this. I mean, Stephanopoulos asked him, you were asked, could you do more? And you said, no, I'm out of administrative flexibility. And his answer was, that's not true, George. And he's tried to limit what he was asked. And then he tried to say, well, what is true is that we couldn't. It was a complete misrepresentation and then a dodge.
George should have followed up. George should have had his lies there available. So, Mr. President, let's go to the tape. Here's what you said. Here's when you said it. Something strange is going on because some of the president's original statements that he doesn't have the authority were true and accurate statements of the law and the role of the president in our constitutional society. Somewhere in the past 3 or 4 months, the president directed lawyers, this is before the midterm elections, Megan, the president directed lawyers at the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Justice, find me a way, give me a legal opinion that will justify my signing an executive order that will change the effect of the law for 5 million people.
Well, so we know what he did. We know what they did. They went to 10 left-leaning, not just law professors, but presidential supporters, people who are on record as loving the president's policies, backing him in all he does, so on and so forth. And those people said, yeah, go for it. But that's a different matter. To me, you can have a difference of opinion on whether the president has overstepped his bounds or not here. But you cannot have a difference of opinion on whether the president just misrepresented the facts to the American people. He is on record, as Stephanopoulos said, as saying he didn't have the authority. And I have had Democrats, folks who support the president's illegal immigration action, they support him, who have admitted, who have been honest brokers to the American people, to our viewers, saying he reversed himself. I don't know why. I support the reversal, but he clearly reversed himself. It's up to him to explain that away. And the first chance he had to explain it away, he denied he ever did it.
Some of his supporters, as you pointed out, have been honest enough to acknowledge that he reversed himself.
Where's his honesty?
It's not there.
My mother always says, does this person in your life have an adult relationship with the truth? Does Barack Obama have an adult relationship with the truth?
The president does not have an adult relationship with the truth. The president lies about whether or not he lied in the past. He would be a far more effective human being as president, far less of an outlier, far less of a loner if he told the truth about his own thinking. If he straightened out the record.
Just own it, right? And then explain to us how you came to the reversal. That's fine.
Correct. But look, this is disrespectful to the American people, disrespectful to the Constitution, disrespectful to the office of the presidency. The American public is entitled to know they have a president who understands his job and will enforce the law whether he agrees with it or not one who has his own set of facts shared by no one else.
And will be honest and transparent, to steal his word, about when they've had a change of heart and why. On gay marriage, he said it's been an evolution. He ultimately was forced in that interview with Chuck Todd of NBC News on healthcare to say, this is why I said what I said.
Right.
Here, he has been allowed by the press, and I credit George Stephanopoulos for trying and playing one soundbite, but he's been allowed by the mainstream media to get away with this without forcing an explanation and the denial here, which is false and disingenuous. I'll give you the last word.
Do you think he'd come on the Kelly file? I would love to see you cross-examine him.
I'm going to see him soon for the Christmas party. I'm going to ask him.
He's invited you to the Christmas party?
It's going to be very awkward.
He's helping me sell this new book, The More Lies He Tells.
Judge Napolitano, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, Megan.